Good evening, everybody. I'm going to get going in a couple of minutes time, 8 o'clock Sydney time. Hello there, Edwin. Hope you're having a great day. So we're going to get going very shortly. If you're just joining us on YouTube, then I can't see the chat, but you're more than welcome to register for the webinar so you can ask questions. So if you're on YouTube, I can't see the chat, but you're more than welcome to watch. So we'll get going in a minute or two. So thank you for your patience. Hi, Mohsen. Nice to have you on board tonight. Okay, everybody, I think we're ready to go. So welcome everybody to this evening's ACY Securities Forex Trading Live Market Analysis webinar. If you don't know me, I think you all do. If you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. Before we move along, get you to read through the risk disclaimer. And if you have any questions as we're going through, then just type them into the Q&A box. I've got the chat box open too. So I'm going to go through a set number of pairs that I'm watching. And if we have time at the end, then just shout something out and we can have a look at that too. So, yes, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at ACY Securities. And I'm a full-time trader. I've been trading the market now for more than 15 years. And I had the opportunity to mentor clients for more than 10. If you want to contact me, you can get me on the email on screen, duncan.cooper@acy.com. If you want to connect with me, then at the acy.com website, you'll find my information, my analysis on the market news tab. Also at the ACY Securities Australia YouTube channel. And if you want to connect with me personally, you can get me there on Twitter and LinkedIn. I'll just leave that on screen a moment if you want to jot anything down. Now from next Tuesday, we've got the beginner webinar series starting again, Tuesday at 8 o'clock Sydney time. This week, we're just doing live market analysis. I'm using some of the tools that I teach in the webinar series to perform analysis. And but the webinar's coming up. I'll just skip that page for a moment. The webinar's coming up starting from next week will be technical analysis basics on Tuesday, and next Thursday, trade orders and execution. And then we'll be going through the list over the coming weeks. And there's the list for you. So as we get into the latter end, there are trade setups that I'm building up towards. But first of all, in the first half, I'm going through bits and pieces of technical analysis that I'm piecing together, working towards formulating some trade setups. Okay, so if you haven't started that from the beginning, that will be starting from Tuesday next week. You can find that on the website. All right, just going back one. We do have now the ACY Securities Telegram channel where we're posting analysis through the day, discussing trends, support and resistance, key trading levels that we're watching for the market to hold at or break through, based around the education that we're doing in the webinar series. So posting that through the day. If you want to get access to that, just email nathanbray@acy.com. So it's nathan.bray@acy.com. What I will do is just hop out of this PowerPoint. I'll just give you a link. Well, I'll give you Nathan's phone number and email address. If you want to get access to the Telegram channel, just contact him. If you want to get access to my chart layouts, just contact him too. because my chart layout's a little bit different for the webinars from what you can download from the website. So there's Nathan's details there. Just contact him for either one of those things. All right, let's get to the charts. Now, obviously, it's a very volatile period at the moment. And I might just start on the Aussie dollar. And yesterday I went through the levels that I'm watching that I feel like the market would need to hold to keep in trend or break below to change trend, vice versa. And one of the levels I was discussing here on the Aussie dollar is the one that it's right at now, the 73.14 level. Earlier in the day, I thought it was holding underneath the 72.84 level and the central pivot. Posted that in the Telegram service earlier in the day. I was potentially anticipating that would hold. And it did through Asia, but it's obviously popped up as the start of London. So we're moving up to 73.14, and it's around about the 62% retracement of yesterday's range. And the 73.14 level is the weekly resistance level. So I'm just going to tidy off a few things here. So we can see where price is, and it's trying to hold there or not. Time will tell on the 15-minute. But that level that I'm looking at, this is kind of make or break for the sellers. If we move above, the buyers are back in control. If we hold here, the sellers are still in control after the 2-day reversal that we've been having. So moving back to the daily, you'll see all the levels of support or resistance that I'm watching. And last week, we moved above this weekly resistance top. And that's where we're at right now. So we moved up, and then on Monday, we rejected 74.14. That's a monthly resistance high. And a little bit higher above is a weekly resistance high. That's that high here. You need to go to the monthly chart. Let's go to the monthly chart a moment. The monthly chart levels from this high here, 74.14. And as I was saying yesterday, let me just take a few of these lines off so you can see better. I'm on the monthly chart. Monthly chart is trend down, right? Lower tops and bottoms. MACD's down. We're just rallying back up. Doesn't look as aggressive than the 7-day rally we had last week into this week when you're on the monthly chart. Maybe we're putting in a lower top here at this monthly old high at 74.14 that we rejected earlier in the week. So I'm thinking a lower top might be forming there. Yes, the weekly trend theoretically is up because you broke above that high, but this can just be a trend change as we're rallying up to put in a lower top on the monthly. So in my mind, the question is, can we hold below 73.14? We're trading at 73.16 at the moment. So we have been below over the last 2 trading days. At the moment, the buyers are trying to push it back above. So it is a bit mixed in terms of trading. What's the trend? Is the monthly downtrend going to prevail and put in the lower top? Just put my lines back in. But I just delete it out. Let me just get rid of that square. All right, so I've got my weekly level back in there. So I've got monthly and weekly level up here that we failed at on Monday. Big rejection. Tuesday back below weekly resistance and daily resistance. And I was expecting this morning that maybe we could hold below 72.84 and have another day down, but quite clearly the market doesn't want to do that. So the buyers are starting to come back in between 72.84 and 73.14. And we're at 73.12 at the moment. So the question is, for yourselves, you have to make a decision yourself. Do you think up here, this is where the tops come in? Or do you think this uptrend that you've got high tops and bottoms showing, is that going to prevail to further move up and test the monthly, weekly resistance here at the top? It's a bit of a mixed picture because there's you could go either way. I think this is a monthly top forming because as well, there's a 79% retracement level that we're failing at. That was a big monthly downtrend. This is the rally from the monthly chart, and we're failing at the 79. So I'm anticipating this could be the final top for a move down. Now, of course, nothing goes down straight in the line. I was hoping for a further good day down at the start of the day, but that hasn't come to fruition. So at the moment, if we move back down to the 15, there's price action at the 74.14 level. Had a fib from yesterday's high down to low. And that range on the 4-hour chart, 4-hour chart's down here. We're just moving down to a lower bottom, rallying up to the 62 level, combined with the 73.14 weekly resistance level. So that could be where we top today. If we move through there with some conviction, then for me, the buyers are back in control. That's where the sellers have to keep control of the market if they want to, move down in the short term. So you can watch that level, whatever your setup is, maybe to trade. Could be a trend line break to the downside. You might be a trader that likes to trade on first contact, so that's your level. However you execute trades to get in, there's a level there that I'm watching for failure. Will it hold and fail or move back above? All right, so 4-hour trend's down from that fail at the top, but the day trend is still up. So time will tell as to whether we can have another day down today. So you watch that level. And really for the sellers to be in control, they need to hold here and move it back below daily support at 72.84. We got below it yesterday here. We're becoming resistance through Asia. But as we headed into London, buying volume of orders came in and have been pushing it up at the moment. So the question is, can 73.14 hold? All right. Just want to click through to see what's going on before. Might as well just start with the Aussie yen as well, as I've just been doing the Aussie dollar. This is my daily chart. I've got in here at the top some weekly levels of resistance. They are 85.18 and 85.44. In fact, most of these levels, I think, are weekly levels. Let's get rid of that level. The rest are weekly levels. So I'm going to go to the weekly chart. If you worked with me last webinar yesterday, the market's been moving up and we're coming up to some old weekly tops to the left here. Is this where the market's going to want to stop at? Of course, we try to move through these highs here in this area. 3 weeks in a row, we try to move above before collapsing. So that is where the sellers have been watching the market over the last year. And we found selling pressure there this week. So is that where maybe a critical top is going to form? Now the weekly trend is up, higher bottom to a higher top, trading into resistance. The daily is in an uptrend, but like the Aussie dollar, we've had 2 strong days down from that level. We actually moved below that weekly level. So I was starting to get a bit more excited about a downtrend forming. And this is a weekly top 2. And we started to want to maybe move below that level. But as you can see, it's held there and we popped back now above both levels. So the buyers are holding it here. Buyers are in control at 84.29 down to 83.97 at the moment. And the sellers are in control at 85.18 up to 85.44. So, and we're kind of, if you look where the candle is at the moment, we're in the middle of that area. So who's in control? We're in the middle. Now, what I am noticing just from my daily chart right now is that we're just trading up inside yesterday's range. So we haven't had a day up. We could still potentially, sellers could start to come in near the high of yesterday to retake control of today's intraday trading. So let's move it down time frames. Could draw a fib in from high to low. And we're not at the 62 level yet. That kind of overlaps with yesterday's, just slightly above, I think, yesterday's high point. All right, so 4-hour trend is down. Maybe this is just a rally before it wants to turn over and have another move down, trying to trade back below 84.29 and 83.97. All right, so I don't like the fact that it's in the middle of my support and resistance. I do maybe think this is a final top, a bit like the Aussie dollar. So I would like to be trading down from resistance, which would be higher up. 79 level overlaps very closely with the 85.18 level. So 85.14 up to 85.18 would be a great level to watch for failure, or it failed in the week, but we're not there yet. So I'm going to watch that level. Moving down to the 15-minute chart. That's yesterday. I'm just going to draw in yesterday's high. Just color a line in across there. Now we might not get there, and then we might just turn around for the rest of the day. I'm just going to take that fib off as well. I'm just going to put a fib in across yesterday's range, because we're just trading up inside yesterday's range at the moment. So there is still the chance that price will start to falter. I want to move back below the 79 level of that range, and then just trade back down through the day. So if we don't continue up to the higher levels that I'm looking at, the 85.14, 85.18 area, for a possible opportunity to sell down from, price might just start to falter. I want to start to move back below the 79 level. And then if you start to see that holding there, then that could be a good level to start to look to trade back down the range of yesterday's trading. So you're going to have to just watch to see what price does here. Into London, at the moment, it's fairly bullish, but it could soon run out of steam. So just watch and see what happens. All right. But as you can see, I said this yesterday, I'm really focusing on my weekly levels of support and resistance. And we did move below 84.29 yesterday. It became resistance here for a low to move down to the low of the day. And it's kind of holding underneath here through Asia. And I was expecting maybe it was going to hold to move down. But then we were having some buying pressure for sure across most pairs in the London session at the moment. So it's popped back above. So obviously that's becoming support for the moment. All right, I just want to go now to the Euro yen. And this has been very negative, but obviously we're having a bounce. And really levels to focus on, because the trend hasn't changed. I know we're having 2 days up. Last week, we broke below this monthly level of support, 127.37. We'll go to the monthly chart. There's a top here. That's at 127.07. Just move to my weekly. There's a top just here. That's a monthly top. So we actually broke through monthly support low, broke through a resistance support top. So coming back up now towards that top and towards that low, there could be an anticipation that that is going to act as resistance. 127.37 had been, actually daily, very strong support for a long time. And then because of obviously the volatility, the Russia-Ukraine war going on, we've sliced through there. So the question will obviously be, if we get up to 127.07 or 127.37, we probably will find the sellers there. Sellers wanting to open positions to sell, plus anybody that was long here that didn't get out when it started to trade through. So that's how support becomes resistance. Those that were buying there, they need to get out. So they're selling, plus they're probably reversing their positions. So that's why broken support becomes new resistance. So watch 127.07, 127.37. That area for critical resistance, okay? So you can see there, we did trade below 125.08 weekly support, but ultimately support started to hold there, and yes, we've been moving up. Now, I was up in the middle of my night, because for me, it's 20 past 7. So 3:30 in the morning, I just woke up, had a look at my phone, see what price was doing. And what I did notice, we are just above yesterday's high at the moment. And before I get to the 15-minute chart, I just want to say as well, the 127.07 level here, you see when we came down, we gave it that bit of a rejection. So we actually held on that level for support for a while before then it dropped. All right, so that possibly 127 to 127.07 could be resistance when we get there. all right, if we can get to that level. Because that's what I was about to say on the 15-minute chart. When I was watching this morning, I just suddenly woke up in the middle of the night going, okay, what's the Euro-Yen doing? This high of yesterday, I know we're fractionally above it at the moment, but price was heading up that way. So I was watching the Euro-Yen and the Euro-Dollar as price was getting to that high point, thinking, okay, this looks like it's going to 127. Then obviously it dropped 70 pips afterwards. Now it dropped 70 pips. I'll come back to this chart in a moment, but it dropped 70 pips because the S&P 500 was heading up here. I'll move it to my 15-minute chart. It's heading back up to the monthly resistance level. So it got to the monthly resistance and then just sold off heavily. All right. So the high that we're trying to get above at the moment is very critical because that's where the S&P 500 topped. And I don't know whether we're going to come back and revisit that. Obviously, out of the stock market trading hours at the moment, we are coming back up the range. Time will tell what it will do once the market really opens. But that critical resistance area that got formed there was when the Euro-Yen held here. And if you go to the Euro-Dollar, when the Euro-Dollar held here, now the Euro-Dollar, it is just holding to that high. So if the Euro-Dollar starts to sell off from that high now, we're probably going to see the same thing start to occur on the Euro-Yen. We are having a bit of a think and a pause here at the R1 pivot. Now, I still think it can go higher, but that is a critical area or a high point there at 126.72 that might be resistance for the day. We might not want to move too much beyond there before we start trading back down towards 126. Time will tell. So just watch and see, do we start to move below the high of yesterday? Can it hold? If it can't hold, that might be a good level to start to look to initiate a trade, to trade down towards 126. All right, but at the moment, it's a little bit bullish. You could be waiting for just a simple trend line break to occur at that high level of yesterday. All right, because moving back now to the Euro-Dollar, what we're seeing, the Euro-Dollar doesn't want to go above yesterday's high. So if this starts selling off now, the Euro-Yen will probably follow suit. So let's go through the Euro-Dollar. Very similar to the Euro-Yen. These levels that I've got drawn in, down at the bottom is a monthly low, 106.35. Maybe we can get there over the next month or two. At the moment, this is a monthly low down here at 108.79 that we've tested, traded below, and of course, at the moment, getting some form of support. So look left, the next real level of broken support is at 110.18, that weekly top there. All right. Then further up, there's some further levels of resistance, but they're miles away today. So this is your day chart look, heading towards maybe 110.18. 4-hour chart, like I was just explaining on the Euro-Yen, around the what was the level I was talking about? The 127 level. We came down to the 110.18 level, held for a few candles before we broke. So we could be coming back up to that level to test, to hold at. That could be a good level to look for a failure at, to trade down. Okay, often when we get these large candles that drop, or we come back to the start of those candles. So potentially we could be moving up there. In the short term, it doesn't want to go above yesterday's high. So the day, weekly, monthly trends are clearly down. I'm not going to try to trade against those trends, but obviously the 4-hour chart is up and we are seeing some maybe sellers covering their positions in the short term and price is moving back up. So where's the logical level to look for a sell opportunity? 110.18. All right, so to the 15, as I was just saying, I'll just be watching to see if yesterday's high can or cannot be traded above. At the moment, it can't. So it might go there and test it. But if we then start to hold and fail, if you're not holding a position on this pair, that could be a good level to watch for failure. Start to get into a position to trade back down for a retest of 1879. So you can watch that level to see what it does. If it moves through that level though, I'm watching up here anywhere from 110 up to 110.18 for a possible reversal back down. All right. Pound yen, this pair has been working perfectly to support and resistance. We've had a double top up here, and we moved down to weekly supports, bounced back up to daily resistance, broke through weekly support, daily support, down to daily supports, and it's having a bounce. So I will just be watching at the moment. Trend is down. You've got this double top here. As I was explaining yesterday, price projection of a double top, harder the pattern projected below is down here at 148.03. There's monthly and weekly support ahead of that, so I don't know whether we can get there, but certainly price could get down to 149 weekly support in line with that double top price projection. So having a rally at the moment, but the trend's clearly down. It's been working perfectly to support and resistance. I'll be watching 152.66 up to 152.89 for the area to watch price to fail at. All right. Well, if it can get up there, obviously. To the 4 hour, it's a little bit range bound. You could be watching that 4 hour top for failure, but I'd much prefer to be engaging at daily or weekly resistance. Those would be, a daily level of resistance or a weekly level of resistance is far stronger than a 4 hour level. But, you could be monitoring. So let's just put a line in on that 4 hour. We could just be consolidating here, ready to move lower, or consolidating, ready to move higher, but 52.227. So you could monitor that level. You see price wanting to fail there. Obviously, we're heading up towards it right now. Let me just show you what price did on Monday. We had a couple of tops here. So price is challenging those tops right now. Is price just going to stick at those tops and then want to move back down? All right, so time will tell. So right now, obviously it's trading up, it's testing it. Then you're waiting, what is your entry? Do you like to trade on first contact? So you'll be selling now maybe if you thought that level was going to hold. Or you might not be that aggressive. You might want to wait for maybe a trend line break to occur. At least a candlestick to show you that price is holding there. All right, so obviously we're testing that level. Is it going to hold for a move back down to retest 151.22? Or is it going to be moving further up in short term to test daily, weekly support? All right. You can monitor that. I know one of my colleagues sold it up here and traded pretty much down to support last week. So I know he's watching in this area for an opportunity to trade down. So it might not get there, it could hold where it is right now. But if I was looking to trade, I'd want to trade at a stronger level like a daily or a weekly level. But sometimes price doesn't do what I want to do. So you can monitor that level. Pound dollar. This is my daily chart, and what I've got drawn in are some weekly levels of support that have gotten broken. This big area at 131.68 and another level at 131.34 that we've been below for a good day or 2 days. That's coming from this weekly low here, but of course some pressures coming in there at the moment to prop it up. If that breaks clearly, the next clear level of support is down at 128.54. So the market's just asking itself at the moment, is support going to hold there? So it's holding in the short term, intraday, and I've been watching for this maybe to come back up and retest 131.68. All right, so 4 hour chart, it's been underneath, and we're just having a bit of a pop up at the moment. So to the 15, as you can see. Yesterday it was really consolidatory, wanting to stay below 134.34. So obviously today at the moment, so it came up and didn't want to move above the highs of yesterday in the short term. Now this spike up could just be stops going off above these tops at the moment, and in 15 minutes time we might be back below 134.34. But I like this level up here in the red zone of the pivots, R2 at 131.68. Price, I'm sure there'll be sellers there, so you could watch what price does up there for an opportunity to trade down. Be interesting to see if this is just a few stops going off here, because yesterday price really didn't want to be above 131.34. So time will tell. You can monitor those levels. Long term, what I'm looking for is 131.68, hopefully to hold for a move back down below 131.34 for a continuation of the downtrend. Just want to see what the euro dollar is doing. All right, so the euro dollar just popped up. That's why the pound's popped up. So the euro yen's just popped up to the 127. So as I was saying before, 127 to 127.07, all the way up to 127.34 could be resistance. So we're at that zone now. Is the market going to start to reverse from up at that level? All right, interesting day. New Zealand yen. I just want to look at both of these, New Zealand yen and New Zealand dollar together. Both of these pairs have rejected, like the Aussie pairs, at weekly resistance. All right, let's turn this to daily. So you can see on the New Zealand dollar, we rejected the weekly high here, 68.90. This weekly area of resistance too, 68.59. In the short term, it's getting support from that weekly low and that high there at about the 68.04 level. So I'll go through the New Zealand dollar now, and I'll pop back to the New Zealand yen in a moment. So question is, like pretty much on the Aussie dollar, is this the final top, flying at major resistance to move down the range, or is that just a 2-day bounce back to weekly support to find some more buying strength to move through? So the 4-hour chart, structurally it's down. We have a lower bottom to the last bottom. So we might just be coming up to retest one of those levels to hold at and put in the lower top. None of my fibs really line up with those levels, but the 79 levels at 68.97 and the weekly resistance is at 69.90. So there's 7 pips difference there. So that could be a level where price might start to head up towards over the next 24 hours. That would be a level I'd be watching for a failure, because we failed there early in the week. If you're on the buy side, then you probably should have bought already today. You should have been looking for an opportunity to be buying any strength that may have been starting to appear at 68.04. Earlier in the day, I was posting in the Telegram that we were failing at the central pivot, and can we break below 68.04 and the figure? Can we break below, and that area of support at the moment becomes resistance? So I was looking for, and still am really, for price to move below that level with a bit of conviction, that level to turn into resistance, to continue the 2-day rejection that we've been having to move further down the range. Now, of course, that's not happening at the moment, but that's what I'm going to be looking for if we can break below that level. At the moment, like I was saying on the Aussie yen before, this pair is just trading back inside the range of yesterday at the 79 level. So yes, it's been moving up with the buying pressure of London at the moment, but this could start to hold here and want to move back down. All right, so I'm with the sellers on the New Zealand crosses and the Aussie crosses, looking for opportunity to trade down following Monday's rejection. But you need to make your own mind up. Are you a buyer or a seller long term on these pairs in the face of where price action is on the chart in terms of the weekly support and resistance? So you can monitor that level. I'm still waiting for this level to break. If this can clearly break, does it become resistance over the next 24 hours? All right, back to the New Zealand yen. This is coming back up to test that high again. So this is obviously a level to watch for failure. If you're of the buyer side and you think that that's just a 2-day reversal before further movement up, you should be buying down at 78.64 when you started to see support. Bit difficult to buy down here when the last 2 candles are rejecting, but as we can see, price is moving up. And bit mixed to consolidatory to maybe slightly up, fractional higher bottom. I'm not quite sure putting in a higher top yet, so maybe a higher bottom equal top, higher bottom equal tops, or a lower top. I'm not quite sure we've taken it out yet. That was at 79.20, and that is at 79.20. All right, a few fractional pips higher than the last high, so slight uptrend, but really consolidatory there. Is it going to fail up there at 79.20 to 23 area? That is the question. It's not where you want to be a buyer. You should have been buying down here on support. Now the question is, for the buyer, is it going to move through so your profits can further increase, or should you be taking profit here because resistance is going to hold? If it does, if it holds there, you want to be taking your profit. So just ahead of New York yesterday, that's where the high came in. I actually discussed this level yesterday, that this would be a good level to trade down from. And yesterday I had a fib drawn across that range. And the 62 level of that fib is where price is right now. I think it has fractionally traded above that high. I'm just going to double check. 2004 that was. That's 2007. So fractionally above. So in this area, if you start to see weakness, we could just trade back down to support. Then to support, hold, break. Tried to break through yesterday, came back up to resistance. Support, support, comes back up to resistance. Is it going to hold here to move back down? All right, it's in a range at the moment between those 2 major levels. 1 weekly level of support, 1 weekly level of resistance. So you want to be trading at support or resistance. You just need to determine for yourself, are you a buyer or seller on the pair? So maybe, you know, wait for a rejection here if you want to be a seller. At least have something to say price is starting to fail. You could be drawing in a trend line. Not quite sure you can draw one in yet, but if a tight swing point forms here, you might see a tight trend line break to the downside from that level. Or of course, if you like the level, you could just trade at the level with the stop 20 pips above, and you're risking 20 pips with the idea that's going to hold to move down to the bottom of the range where there's potentially approximately 60 pips. So a risk reward of 1 to 3 from the top of the range to the bottom. Of course, if the bottom of the range fails, your risk reward gets better. All right, so that's what you could be looking at there on the New Zealand yen. Just want to go back and see what's going on these euro pairs, specifically that euro yen, heading up towards that 127.07 level. Euro dollar, it is above yesterday's high at the moment. And one last point I want to look at. Yen pairs seem to be moving up. So I'm guessing the dollar yen, well, it's not really moving up. I've been watching the dollar yen, and let me just take these lines off. We're in a 4-hour resistance area at the moment. There's a couple of daily tops here. This 114.72 level is an old monthly resistance high, which we're getting some support on. We've been kind of faltering at this weekly resistance high at 115.51. And at the moment, it's range bound, and it's right at the top of the range that it's been, you know, trading within. And put those 4-hour levels of resistance back in, you can see where price is sitting at. It's tried to move above it today, couldn't. And what I also noticed was if you draw a fib from that high up there, the final high, or there's a double top high there, to that low, then there's a 79% retracement level, combining with those 4-hour levels of resistance. So we're in an area of resistance where you would find the sellers. The question now is, do those sellers take control in that area to simply trade it back down to where it came from? You can see that it's very range bound. It's been going down, up to a lower bottom. Of course, at the moment, we're now to a higher top. So it's, it's not even doing equal tops, equal bottoms. It's lower bottom, higher top. Now, higher top, lower bottom, higher top. Is it going to hold here? Just simply to trade back down the range once more. All right. So good area of resistance. You just need to work out for yourself. Do you want to trade in that area? Okay. All right. So that's when I'm looking at the dollar yen. We're at resistance. All things being equal, we will probably move back down the range there. Of course, that's at the top of its range. Let's just backpedal. New Zealand yen is at the top of its range. Pound yen, it is trying to break above the top of that 4-hour range. And the euro yen is back up to what we would class as critical resistance. So, all those yen pairs have been moving up in tandem correlation. So if we start to see them all turn down, then you just need to pick whatever pair you fancy trading and try and trade in line with the correlation. Of course, if you're trying to trade one of these pairs down and the other ones are all moving up, you're probably going to be wrong. So you probably want to see them all turn at the same time so that at least you're trading. At the moment, we're seeing yen weakness. For this to turn, we need to see some yen strength across all the pairs. So that's the question. Are we going to start to see that? And they should all then start to move down. And the Aussie yen, I'm guessing, hasn't quite yet taken out yesterday's high point, but of course it's moving up in line with all those other yen pairs. All right, so this may well move down and all the other ones start to move down. So you're at some levels there. You just need to decide, are you seeing a level that you want to trade at? And is it in line up of the trend direction that you're seeing in the higher time frames? All right, so the Aussie dollar at the moment is starting to get into the hands of the buyers intraday. But really, for me, the question would be at the end of the day, are we closing above 73.14? We start to move below that level during the day. We might start to move back below 73.14. It becomes resistance once more intraday, and we find by the end of the day we're closing back down towards the daily support level at 72.84. All right, but we're definitely seeing some positivity in London at the moment across most pairs. So the dollar index still in an uptrend. On the monthly chart, let's start uptrend monthly, breaking above 98.12, maybe heading towards 139. On the weekly chart, uptrend. On the day chart, where we've had probably 7 days up, so we're having one or 2 days down. Nothing can go up forever. Doesn't mean it's to say that the trend is changing, but really for the trend to hold, I would like to see price hold above 98.12, the monthly level that we've broken above. So this 98.12 on the dollar index kind of represents the euro dollar area of resistance at 110.18. All right, this could pull back to that level. The euro dollar pulls back to its 110.18 level. If those two levels hold, we're going to see the dollar index move up and the euro dollar move down. All right, so this could be still heading towards 110.39. But watch the dollar index. If this is going to continue down, pairs to the US dollar are going to continue up. And the S&P 500 intraday at the moment, it's outside of obviously the stock market trading full time, full flow. Yesterday, in the middle of my night, it came all the way up to the monthly resistance low. That's that low here. Trend is down on the monthly because we've broken that low, and the MACD's crossed down. Just want to go to now my 4-hour chart. This pink area, I'm just representing that as last month's candle, which was negative. And late or into last week anyway, we traded up with inside last month's candle range and failed at the 62% level. So this could be the high of the month now. And we're trading down to put in the low of the month. Of course, it's a bit choppy here because we've been heading towards last month's low at 140.104. We can't get there. And then we've traded back up to hold at monthly resistance low. Came down yesterday and we're coming back up. So it's choppy. Of course, this is just chopping inside of not the full stock market hours. So once the stock market comes around, this could just trade back down. But the critical level for seeing continued weakness is, can the market hold below 42.68 on the S&P 500, okay? So if we start to move above that level, we're probably going to see some of the currencies moving into more of a risk-on environment rather than the risk-off environment that we've been seeing. All right. All right, we might have a look at gold too. This really has been the thing that's been propping up, say, the Aussie crosses and the New Zealand crosses. This has been flying up. And on Monday, just want to make sure I've got my levels right. Yeah, I do. We've broken above this weekly top at 1965. And obviously we're challenging the all-time high at 2074. So as this has been moving up, the market has been positive across the Aussie pairs, New Zealand pairs. And we rejected the 2000 mark at some point in the week. I think it was Monday, just here. Intraday, we pulled back. And that's when we started to see the Aussie pairs reverse, have 2 days down. But now, so I was pausing because I got a message. All right, somebody's asking me about the dollar index, which I've just covered. I think it has the potential to keep moving up. Gold here, it did falter for a little bit intraday at the 200 level, sorry, 2000 level. And obviously we've run all the way up very close to the 2074 level. For the buyers to be in control now, I would say maybe from a weekly perspective, they have to hold it above 1965. And same from a day perspective, they have to hold it above 1965. I mean, it's difficult to be a buyer now on gold when it's at such high levels. But for it to maintain its upward move, any retracement should hold at 1965. Last week, I was saying as we're moving above 1920, 1920 should hold. And we moved above it and it became support for the market. So for the buyers to hold this instrument up and to move further up long term, now they have to hold above 1965. Okay. They can't get above 2074 at the moment. Doesn't mean to say that they can't move through though over a couple of days, because it was faltering at 2000 for about half a day, and then boom, went up another 74 to 80 on the instrument. All right, so I could certainly do that again. So that's a look at gold at the moment and the key levels that the market's operating around. Martin, you were asking me about the dollar index. As I was saying, it's clear uptrend. I think it needs to hold above 98.12 at the moment. So for me, that level is the same level, but upside down at 110.18 on the euro dollar. All right, so you can watch those two levels hand in hand. I really think those two levels are closely matched. All right, obviously, if we go to the news items coming out for the week, we have, not today, but tomorrow, the euro interest rate decision. All right, last month, they were a bit hawkish and we went up 200 pips or so on the euro. obviously we sold that off in recent times, but not quite sure whether the Eurozone is going to be as hawkish in its tone as it was last month. So we might be seeing some short covering at the moment. Obviously, Euro Yen's been moving up, back up to the 127 level. Short covering at the moment ahead of that news event. Maybe getting themselves positioned for a slightly less hawkish tone. And then for those pairs to move down again, time will tell. All right. All right, so let's just have a click through. So through the last hour, obviously, the Aussie Yen's been moving up. You can't take out yesterday's high yet. You could still hold there and we could start to reverse back down below the 79 level there. Aussie dollar, it is above that 73.14 level at the moment, but it's only 5 pips above. It could easily move back below that level. Be interesting to see where it is come New York and then come the close of New York. Euro Yen, holding at 127 there for the last 15 minutes, is at the critical level. So let's just, just do another review on that level. 127.07 is monthly resistance. 127.37 is monthly resistance, and we're just maybe sticking at 127. Is that where this 2-day rally finishes for a move back down to 125.08? I mean, this isn't a clear downtrend still. Nothing's really changing, I don't think, too much in the Ukraine-Russian perspective at the moment. So watch that level closely. Failure. Euro dollar. It is just above yesterday's high. Can it hold yesterday's high? It not holding yesterday's high, it's going to be weak for that pair because that's where the stock market dropped from yesterday. So watch that level. It's at 109.57. Of course, if we keep getting short covering, I'm anticipating we might move up to the 110, 110.18. But of course, with the Euro Yen getting to its figure level, 127, if we start seeing pressure there on the Euro Yen, we're probably going to start to see pressure on the Euro dollar too. All right, because both really correlated together. All right, so pound yen looks like it's moving through its 4-hour resistance in the short term. And the pound dollar may be moving up to that weekly level of resistance I was discussing. It hasn't snapped straight back yet, back below 134.34. So the buyers are still wanting to buy that pair at the moment. But as well, like I was just showing on the euro dollar, that's yesterday's high there. Buyers are wanting to hold it above that level. You can see the last 15-minute candle came in, bobbed off. So a bit of support coming from yesterday's high. So we may well get up to that level. So watch 131.68. And New Zealand yen now is testing that weekly resistance level. Is it going to hold or move through? That's that top just there. Time will tell. Of course, there's a clear uptrend here with higher tops and bottoms, but the last 2 candles, clear rejection. So it is difficult. You can't buy into resistance. If you were a buyer on this pair, you should have bought before. All right, so critical resistance there. Give it 24 hours. What is it doing? Of course, if you want to be aggressive, you could be looking to maybe sell down from that level today. Question coming in about the Dow Jones. Looking very similar to the S&P 500. So on the monthly chart, it's broken below its monthly support. weekly chart, weekly's in a downtrend, lower tops and bottoms. Hasn't been able to break last month's low, but it's challenged it. And the day chart, as long, yesterday we came up like on the S&P 500, we came all the way back up on the candle to get close to, but not quite to, monthly resistance, and then traded all the way back down. All right, so clearly that level is being watched by the market because Monday's high was pretty much at monthly resistance. Tuesday's high came all the way back up fractionally short. Of course, we're trading up in the short term. But for me, unless we can start to get above 33.50 with some conviction, what I'm seeing is the sellers are clearly there. Of course, the buyers seem to be clearly here at last month's low as well in the short term. So we may see a bit of consolidation on the S&P 500 and the Dow between their monthly support lows and their broken monthly resistance levels. Now that looks very similar to my S&P 500 day chart. Exactly the same. That's last month's low. There's your monthly level of resistance that's gotten monthly level of support that got broke, and now it's acting as resistance. All right, so stuck between those two levels. Which way will it go? The crystal ball, it'd be great. Overall, on both of those instruments, I was going to call them pairs. Let me just get rid of the weekly charts. This has moved down, come up, put in a lower top, move down. It's putting in another minor lower top here. Is it moving down to put in another lower bottom? MACD's got negative divergence and is aggressively moving down now below the zero line. I'm not seeing anything that's screaming out to me that an ultimate bottom's come in yet. I can see that there's some buying pressure as we get to the low of the month, but wanting to hold below monthly resistance. Okay. Bit of a battle, like on some of the other pairs, between weekly supports and daily resistance. All right, like the Aussie yen, where it's pretty much, it is testing yesterday's high, but it's pretty much, I was saying before, it's difficult to determine. There's my day chart with my weekly resistance at the top, my day support at the bottom, and price is right in the middle. So which side of the coin, which side of the battle at the moment is going to win? Is it weekly supports or weekly resistance? If you looked at this as a battlefield, soldiers are in the middle trying to, gather ground. Can they push that army, the selling army, back into their trenches? Can the sellers push the buyers back into their trenches? Some of these pairs and instruments are difficult at the moment to get a clear idea of where you should be trading. I mean, it's obvious where to trade on this pair. That's support. This is resistance. In the middle, difficult. All right. So at the moment, I'm just using my clear weekly levels, asking myself, is price holding there, trading down or up from the levels? All right, everybody, any final questions before we conclude? Thanks very much for attending this evening. If you're on the YouTube, thanks for attending. I couldn't see the chat, so I couldn't answer your questions. Coming up, we have another webinar this week, tomorrow, which will be live Forex market review again. Pretty much the same story as what I'm doing today, looking at what's happening, the trend's changing, support and resistance being respected in reversing at the moment. Into Tuesday next week, 8 p.m, we're starting the education series with understanding a candlestick chart and identifying candlestick patterns. So that's what's coming up Tuesday. Next Wednesday, Forex market analysis, 8 p.m. Sydney time. Next Thursday, we're going through trade orders and execution using stops, limit orders. Okay. All right, everybody. I think all the questions have come in for the day. So thanks very much for your company. Stay safe. Try to keep away from the volatility. Thanks, Martin. Obviously, it's very volatile at the moment, and what I've been saying to people, Pairs like the euro yen, if we just pop back to that one while I just wrap up, and other pairs, very volatile. You don't have to trade when it's so volatile. You can wait for the volatility to just drop down a bit before, getting back into trading on some of these pairs. So be very aware that we are in a very volatile market at the moment. Right, with that being said, thanks very much for your company this evening, and I look forward to seeing you next time.